Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to learn something extremely important, maybe one of the most important skills in English, and that is how to ask questions. Let me tell you something. You can know many words, you can understand grammar, but if you cannot ask questions, you cannot have a real conversation. You cannot connect with people. You cannot learn fast. Questions are everything. For example, when I started learning English, I had a big problem. I wanted to speak, but I didn't know how to ask questions. I was always thinking, how do I say this? Is this correct? Do I need do or did? And many times I stayed quiet. So today I invited a special guest. He's an English teacher with more than 20 years of experience, and he has helped thousands of students speak English with confidence. Teacher, welcome. Thank you. And I am very happy to be here. And yes, you are right. Questions are the key to communication. If you can ask good questions, you can have conversations, make friends, learn faster, and feel confident. Today, I will teach you a simple system, not a complicated grammar class, but a practical way to ask questions easily. So, the secret of questions, a simple, a simple formula. Let's start with something very important. In English, questions are like a structure or a formula. If you understand the formula, you can ask any question, any question. So, this is the basic formula. Pay attention, please. Question word plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus the main verb. I repeat. Question word plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb. And I want to give you some simple examples to start. For example, what do you eat? What do you eat? What is the question word? Do is auxiliary. You is subject. And eat is the verb or the main verb. This is the base. This is the skeleton. You will use this structure again and again. So you need to memorize it. I repeat, question word plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb. For example, what do you eat? Okay, what is the key? Now let's talk about the most important part, that is the question words. These words help you get information. These are really important. So the common question words are what, where, when, who, why, and how. But teacher, what do they mean? Don't worry, I will tell you. What is used for things? For example, what do you do? What is used for things? For example, what do you do? Where is used for places. For places. For example, where do you live? When is used for time or time. For example, when do you study? Who is used for people or people. For example, who do you talk to? Why is used for reasons. Why is used for reasons. For example, why do you learn English? And how is used for method or the way. For example, how do you practice? Okay, I hope it's clear. If you learn these words, you already have power in English. I repeat, please, because this is very important. What is for things? Where is for places? When is for time? Who is for people? Why is for reasons? And how is for method or way. All right. But there are yes and no questions. That is also very important. Let's talk about another type of question that is yes and no questions. These questions don't use question words. The formula is more simple. It's just auxiliary verb plus the subject plus the verb. It's very similar to the other, but without the auxiliary verb. Again, auxiliary verb plus the subject plus the verb. For example, do you like coffee? Do you work? Did you study yesterday? Are you tired? These are very common in conversations. And now I want to go with some very common mistakes that students make when asking questions. The mistake number one is you like coffee? That is incorrect, right? Because there is no auxiliary verb. That's why it's incorrect. The correct form is do you like coffee? And this is understandable, but not correct. What I mean is if you say you like coffee, people will understand you, of course, but it's incorrect. It's not correct. The correct form is do you like coffee with the auxiliary, that is do. Mistake number two is to say where you live. Where you live. That is not correct. Can you tell me why? Yes, because it doesn't have the auxiliary verb. The correct form is where do you live? Where do you live? So always remember, please, you need the auxiliary verb for these kind of questions. You need it. You need the auxiliary verb. All right? Now let's go with questions in present. An easy system. Let's focus on the present tense. In the present tense, we use do and does. All right? We use do with the subject I, you, we, and they. For example, do you work? Do they play soccer? And we use does with he, she, and it. For example, does he work? Does she study? And here's an important tip. When you use does, the verb stays simple. So, does he works? Is it correct? No, it's not correct. The correct form is does he work? One more time. Does he works is incorrect. Does he work is the correct form. Teacher, let me try, please. Does she likes pizza? Almost perfect. But no, the correct is does she like pizza? Ah, okay. I understand. No S in the verb. Exactly. Because it has the auxiliary, that is does. So the verb goes in the simple form, in base form. And here's an easy trick that is very useful. If you see does, remove the S from the verb. One more time. If you see does, remove the S from the verb. Now let's go with questions in the past. It's super simple. You won't have many problems. Let's talk about the past. In the past, we use the auxiliary did. It did. The formula is really simple. It's did plus subject plus the base verb or the verb in base form. One more time. Did plus the subject plus the base verb or the verb in base form. For example, did you work yesterday? Did she call you? Did they study? And very important, did you work? It's not correct. Did you work? That is the correct form. Same rule. It's the same rule. No past form after did. If it has the auxiliary did, the verb goes in base form. And now questions in the future. In the future, we use will, right? We use will. For example, will you go tomorrow? Will she call you? Will they travel? And here is an easy system you can practice. Look at this. In the present, we use do and does for questions, of course. In the past, we use did. And in the future, we use will. Same structure, but different auxiliary. One more time. In the present, we use do or does. In the past, we use did. And in the future, we use will. Same structure, different auxiliary. And here's a powerful idea that this is very important. You don't need to learn 100 rules. No. You need to learn one system. Change the auxiliary and you change the time. That's all. And here I want to give you some common questions in real life. Let's see some real questions people use every day. That, of course, they have the base structure, the formula that I told you before. What do you do? Where do you live? Do you work or study? Did you have a good day? Will you come tomorrow? Now, let's go with a mini practice. It's important so you can understand better. Complete these questions, please. Number one, you work? Yes. Do you work? That is correct. Number two, where you live? Very good. Where do you live? Number three, she study? Very good. Does she study? Number four, you go yesterday? Very good. Did you go yesterday? That is the correct form of the question. All right, excellent. Very good. And you're telling me, teacher, why not will or did? Yes, you can change the auxiliary to make it present, past, or future. And that is the amazing thing about this structure. For example, in the question number one, that is you work, you can say, do you work? And it's present. Or did you work? And it's the past. Or will you work? And it's the future. And you see that you're only changing the auxiliary and you change the whole grammar, the whole time, the whole structure into a different grammar time. And it's amazing. So where do you live? Or where did you live? We're talking about the past. Or where will you live in the future? Does she study in the present? Did she study in the past? Or will she study in the future? So it's amazing how you can change only the auxiliary and you're changing the time. So just following the structure I gave you. So why questions are powerful? Let me tell you something important. If you ask questions, people talk. If people talk, you learn. If you learn, you improve fast. Questions create conversations. This is amazing. Now I understand the structure much better. But I still have problems with long questions, natural conversations, and sometimes I don't know how to answer. Perfect. Now we will go deeper. We will learn how to ask better and longer questions, how to sound natural, how to answer correctly, advanced tips, real conversations, and big practice session. All right, guys, this is just the beginning. We learned the basic system to ask questions in English. And now I understand the structure, the auxiliaries, and how to form simple questions. But, teacher, I still feel that my questions sound robotic, not natural, like a textbook. That is very important point. Many students know the structure, but they don't sound natural. Today, we will fix that. We will learn how to ask better, more natural, and more interesting questions. So, how to make questions sound natural? In real life, people don't always speak in perfect grammar. Sometimes we make questions shorter, softer, or more relaxed in a natural style. Instead of where do you live, people sometimes say, where do you live now? So, where do you live? Or where are you living these days? What is the idea? The idea is to sound natural. And to sound natural, you can add small words, you can change the tone, or you can use context. And how do you do that? Well, adding extra details. Let's improve simple questions. The basic question is, do you work? But better, do you work during the week? Do you work or study? Do you work from home? Adding details makes your question more interesting and more real. Try it. Try to add something extra. And now we have the follow up questions that are very important. And this is one of the most powerful skills, the follow up questions. What are they? They are questions after a question. For example, the person A says, I work in a hospital. The person B says, oh, really? What do you do there? Do you like it? Is it stressful? This is how real conversations work. Not just one question, but many connected questions. Okay, let me try. Where do you live? Good. Now continue. Do you like your city? Is it big or small? What do you do in your free time? Perfect. Now you are creating a real conversation. Very good. And the part that you told me, how to ask long questions. Let's go to the next level. Okay, the long questions. For example, what do you usually do on weekends? Why do you want to learn English? How do you feel when you speak English? So, what is the structure idea? You can combine question word, idea, plus extra detail. One more time. Question word, idea, plus extra detail. And some common advanced mistakes that I don't want you to make are the first, why you are sad. That is not correct. Can you tell me why? Exactly. It's the position of the verb and the subject. The correct form is, why are you sad? Mistake number two is, what you are doing. Can you see what is the mistake? Very good. The position again. The correct form is, what are you doing? Remember, auxiliary before subject. Always remember that. Auxiliary before subject. And now I want to go on how to answer questions that are it's really important. Asking questions is important, yes, but answering is also important. There are two types of answers, the short answers and the long answers. The short answers are, yes, I do, no, I don't, yes, I did, no, I didn't. And the long answers are, yes, I do, I work in an office, no, I don't, I study at home. Try to give more information, always, not just yes or no. Try to give more information, please. Many students stop when they speak. They think too much. Here is a trick to think fast. Use patterns. For example, what do you, did you? Repeat these patterns until they become automatic. What do you, did you? What do you, did you? Again, repeat these patterns until they become automatic. And here is a powerful tool that is question blocks. You can memorize small question blocks. For example, what do you think about? How do you feel about? How do you feel about? Why do you think? Why do you think? And then you only change the last part. For example, what do you think about this movie? What do you think about English? What do you think about your job? It works very well, believe me. And let's do a fun exercise. I give you a word and you create a question. I love this exercise and I hope you can do it. For example, if I give you the word food, what question can you make with food? What food do you like? Very good. Now, number two, work. Do you work every day? Excellent. Number three, weekend. What do you do on weekends? Very good. Number four, English. Why do you learn English? Excellent. And number five, friends. Do you see your friends often? Excellent. This is real practice. You can also make questions with these words. I will leave you the words here: food, work, weekend, English, and friends. Practice if you want. Leave it in the comments or just in your head. Now let's go with some interesting facts. English questions are very structured. Intonation, the voice, is very important. Sometimes you can ask questions with only tone. For example, you're coming, you don't need auxiliary. Of course, this is not correct, but it works, and native speakers use it a lot. And now I want to give you some pro tips. The tip number one is listen to conversations, not just grammar. This is not a grammar class. This is a conversation on how to make questions. Because in conversations, in real conversations, you can find the real vocabulary. Tip number two, practice speaking. Not only writing, speak the questions. Don't just write them, speak it. Ask those questions to a partner, to your teacher, or to yourself. Tip number three, ask questions every day, even simple ones. But teacher, I don't have anyone to ask questions. Well, ask yourself those questions. I used to do it when I was starting learning English. I'm not a native speaker. I started learning English and I didn't have a partner. So I started talking to myself and asking questions to myself. You can also do it. Teacher, now I feel different. Before, I was afraid to ask questions. Now I feel more confident. All right, guys. If you watched until the end, you are serious about learning English, and that already puts you ahead of many people. Now it's your turn. Let's do something. I want you to write three questions to the teacher. Three questions about whatever you want using this structure. Only three questions. And the teacher will read the question and answer your questions in the comments. The questions can be about whatever you want, about his life, about the class, about anything, but using the structure given in this conversation. I will read your comments and, of course, the teacher too. And if this episode helped you, please give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel because we are creating content that is real, simple, and useful so you can actually speak English, not just understand it. Remember, every question is a door. The more questions you ask, the more your English grows. So keep asking and keep speaking. And I'll see you in the next episode. I will wait for your comment or for your questions. I will answer them. Take care.